Now, many of you, probably of the 27 people, at least 20 of you have seen the diagram before, maybe 15 of you. This is my diagram that I have used, this right over here, to look at the commonalities between the New Testament, Gita, and Tao. And now I'm using the same diagram to talk about the virtues. So I'm going to take all the virtues that are there and try to map them, the ones that we have discussed so far. There are 4 cardinal virtues: justice, temperance, courage, and prudence. And in addition to that, we've talked about the theological virtues. Okay. So firstly, let me explain the diagram. Okay. The yellow here is the spiritual. The blue is the intellectual. The green is the physical, material, and the red is the emotional. This entire left part is you. You see the white dot here, that's you. So put yourself in that position. Okay, that's where you are, and you have these 4 aspects. There is community here on the other side. Okay, and this entire area, the right side, is the community. So this is you, and this is the community. Okay, so let's look at the virtues that we've been discussing. Temperance is managing your emotions to make sure that it is consistent with everything else. So that's temperance. Courage is your courage to take action of what you need to do. Prudence, so temperance is a red virtue, it's right over here. The courage is a green virtue of taking the action, courage to take the action while managing your emotions, but it is mostly about taking action that you need to take. Prudence is about thinking about things that are practical, that manage everything, but it's primarily an intellectual virtue. So those are the 3 virtues that we talked about. Now, the things that the theologians added was the theological virtues, and Aquinas summarizes them as love of God. So this is love of your spirit. That was something that was missing. So we've got love of God, the yellow, we've got prudence, we've got courage, and we've got temperance. So now you ask, where is justice? Justice is basically having the right relationship between you and the community. And it is basically your relationship with the community, or your relationship with other people, and making sure that that relationship is just, it is proper, it is fair, it's all about that. It is relationship between how these relate to this. So in that sense, what Aquinas is saying, what Aristotle was saying, is profoundly true, that justice, in order to implement justice, you have to implement all of these things within yourself and in relationship to other people. So that's my quick summary of mapping the virtues that we have discussed in the Syntopicon, in the 103 Great Ideas. Now, I was astonished that their treatment of virtue in Bible was not very good. I would have expected them to do a spectacular job. So we just did a 5-hour meetup on Gospel of John. What is virtue in the New Testament? It is Jesus. Jesus is the way. Now, I want to show you how powerful this is, because you see that they were discussing the top of, is this, they were talking about, is this one or many? By the way, this is my name for my diagram. It's called QuinQue Unum. QuinQue Unum. That means from the five, one. Okay. And you can see that actually this one is the best example in the West that I've seen of the integration of all five. So look at Jesus as a person. He is God. He has this, the yellow. He's the Word. He has the blue, full intellectual virtue. He's the flesh. He is in the flesh. He has love. And his commandment is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. That is justice plus. And all of that is there in his person as a single person. So it is one in a person. The godliness, the spiritual value, the intellectual value of the word, the reality, and doing the work, and the love, and the relationship. What this is church. When there is this love between people, it creates a community which in this context is church. So it is God, word, flesh, love, church. Let's look at Gita. In Gita, Krishna is specifying 4 different kinds of yogas. There is the karma yoga of doing the right action. There is a jnana yoga, which is the intellectual, the blue, of understanding everything. There is the bhakti yoga, which is based on devotion. And there is a raja yoga, which is about training your attention on the deepest part of your soul or your spirit. And the core idea of India, when you say namaste, you're saying the divine spark in me greets the divine spark in you. So it's all about seeing. The community is based on seeing the divinity in others, which is a very profound way of putting everything together. So that is Gita in this diagram. And this is how it maps into similarity with the traditional virtues, the example in New Testament of Jesus. Tao is a little bit more complicated. Tao is the spirit of the universe, of nature. It's how nature operates. That is the most spiritual thing. Instead of going this way, Tao Te Ching goes the other way. It says the way you do that is by feeling, is by being open to the Tao with your heart and finding the way that is consistent with the Tao. So Tao, and this is the. And what happens with action? When you're doing that, you have something called Wu Wei. That means you're acting in line with how the nature is. So the action is effortless, or action is no action. It is very skeptical about names. It is saying that most names make these 10,000 things which are not really in accordance with the Tao. So it's a very, but it has different ways. And the way in which they handle social relations is that a sage doesn't force people, but inspires them through example. That's how they are looking at this. So this is a very quick view. I have to tell you that I'm not a scholar in New Testament or Gita or Tao. So this is just an attempt to bring things together that we are studying in 52 Living Ideas. All right. So let me come back to questions now. Okay.